and welcome to Season 2, Episode 3 of the InnerStrength, Innercise live show. So today I have the gorgeous Lee Hicks joining me live. So thank you for being here, Lee.
Thank you very much for having me, Fiona.
You're welcome. And today we're going to be talking about defining your vision. Are you ready? So I think it's a really interesting topic, and even when you read that as a sentence, it can mean many things. So I'm interested to see, what we get into today and how we sort of move through things. So I'm your host, as you know, Fiona Jean, a purposeful warrior. My passion really and my purpose in this evolution of life, shall we say, or these orbits around the sun, is to teach others, to share my experience and wisdom. So you too can ultimately create generational wealth for you and your legacy. And in this series, really, I want to go a little bit deeper, with myself and with the speakers, to poke the bear, if you like, to tell it how it is, speak our truth, and really invite each and every one of the speakers and you that are watching and contributing to do the same. Let's get real and raw with it, and really, ask the awkward questions and seek the answers that we really are dying, wanting to know within. So I hope you grabbed your conscious cuppa today. As usual, I've got my mighty booch. I'm enjoying that. Lee has his cuppa there, so that's wonderful. And again, if you're tuning in live, please drop us a comment. Tell us where you're coming in from. Ask questions at any time. If you're watching the replay, hashtag replay, and again, tag myself or Lee with the questions, and we'll come back and be sure to answer them for you. And one thing, if we don't have the answer, we'll find the expert that does, and we'll bring them onto the show. So thank you for being here. So it's not like I say every week, it's not FJTV. This is a show where we really want you to participate and to come on board with us on this journey, and to really dig in deep for yourself and do the work. It's doing the work, it's leaning in. Because we all know that nothing's going to change unless we take some form of action. So enough about the show and me, and let's get into this. So I want to really introduce Lee briefly. I'm sure he'll share more of his story as we move forward. But I guess in my own words, I describe Lee rather as, how do I say, an all-round beautiful soul. That's how I see, Lee in this world, who shines a light for others. His serving heart and inner strength, I feel, really makes for a wonderful match for his chosen path, of guiding visionary leaders to claim their own sovereignty and tradition in this awakening world that we're in. This age of, was it the Aquarius? I forget that song now. It's gone out of my mind. But the age of the information age is what I'm trying to say.
Age of information.
Yeah, that's right. And I think as a human development and lifestyle mindset educator, Lee is well placed, to help other leaders redefine things. That's what I'm hoping that we're going to be digging into and talking today. So welcome, Lee, and I'd love to get us started, if you like, by asking, what led you on the path that you're currently following today?
Thank you very much, Fiona. Thank you so much for having me here. Wow, that's a big question, but I guess to a little bit of my background, I grew up in Perth, where you currently are. I'm a Perth boy. And then I went up to Exmouth. So I worked with my family there for a little bit, but I got an urge to travel, and I really needed to. Sorry, excuse me 1 second. I've got a dog that has just started barking. I was going to shut the door here so I'm not interrupted. One second. Sorry.
Sure.
Okay, start again. Okay, sorry about that. Right on cue, of course. So yeah, I started working with my family business over in Perth, but I really just had the desire to travel and to move. So I bought myself a caravan for $800, and I took off with my best friend and my dog. We had no idea where we were going. We just went north, and we had no plans. And there was a lot of adversity to that. Fiona, a lot of people were saying, you can't do that, Lee. Like, you got to, you're the oldest son. You're supposed to take over the business, and, where are you going? And you haven't got much money. And all these naysayers were telling me all the reasons why I shouldn't be going. So that's why I left. I got up into Exmouth and lived up there for a couple of years, and that got me onto boats, and I was working as a pearl diver up there for about 5 hours a day underwater, working for Exmouth Pearls up there. From there, I went up to Darwin and then across eventually to Mooloolaba, and I sailed out of Mooloolaba Heads on the 4th of July, 1999, across the South Pacific on a sailboat to deliver the sailboat to Florida.
Wow.
Once again, I didn't have much money. I was hitchhiking barefoot around most of the islands. And, I had a lot of resistance, a lot of my close friends and family telling me, you can't do this, Lee. Like, that's not a sensible thing to do. But it was one of the most incredible experiences of my entire life. Some of the things that I experienced were just, you can't even describe. The beauty and the pain along with it all. We delivered the boat across to Florida, and I just happened to get a job on Ivana Trump's super yacht, which was Donald's ex at the time. So I became first officer because I'd already accumulated many nautical miles and logged many miles. That took me across the Atlantic, and then from there we experienced all kinds of things, the Monaco Grand Prix, Cannes Film Festival and whatnot. Long story short, I traveled around the world, sailed around the world for about 10 years on various different super yachts, became one of the youngest super yacht captains in the industry. Once again, a whole lot of resistance there because I was so young, but I was so passionate about maritime law and maritime everything. And I was a C grade student or less in school. I was not that good in school at all, because they were trying to tell me how to learn in their way. And when I worked out that when I was passionate about something and I could educate myself my own way, I thrived to the point where I was doing, I was qualified to be a master of up to vessels up to 3,000 gross tons. And during those courses in front of master mariners, I was tutoring captains that had been captains for 20 years. Because in maths, which I basically failed in school, because I loved what I did. So from there, I ended up coming back to Noosa in Australia after traveling around and becoming one of the youngest super yacht captains in the industry. I came back to Noosa and I had no idea. I'd been on the ocean for 10 years and I bought 12 acres of rainforest and a couple of chainsaws and a bobcat, and dropped 22 big trees, brought in mobile millers and cut all our bearers and decks and made all the cut lists, did everything, the electrical, the plumbing, the roads, the draining, built sheds and built a little retreat out there. Once again, big opposition from all my friends and family going, you're crazy, what are you doing? You don't know anything about the land. From there, I went into marketing. I went through some tough times. I was in a relationship with a beautiful, beautiful soul. She had stage 4 metastasized breast cancer. Basically, just about lost everything, the business, the property. I went through a time where I had, tenants that were in the property that were destroying it, that I couldn't get out, hadn't paid rent for 3 months. I had a knee operation. She was down to skin and bone and trying to, look after her son. And so, the usual story of most humans, we have to go through that valley. And so that brought me to my knees. And it was right around that time I found personal development and marketing at the same time. I was a leader in a couple of network marketing companies back in the day. And then eventually that evolved. Just a few years ago, I was on a trip I was in a mastermind in Bali, and there was a guy there that was helping people to find their vision, and he was just talking about it. And as he was speaking, the dominoes just fell for me, and I knew this was my calling. I knew what he was talking about. I could elaborate on so much more with all my experiences and personal development and networking and travels that I had. And I literally went back that night and in the hotel, and I just did a great big scribble, a big brainstorming mud map, and created Define Your Vision. So yeah, I think it's now evolved in this, incredible time that we're in, Fiona, where you said, we're going to poke the bear a little bit here, and it's time. to poke the bear. We are in a critical point in human evolution right now. We are evolving as a species, and we're going through that valley of death that we all go through at some point, but we're going through that right now in humanity. And for those who realize it in the different levels of awareness and consciousness, who are aware of what's going on, we're at the precipice of being able to support many, many, many people as we move through this era. And I believe that knowing your purpose and your vision is part of people evolving into their higher self to build a life in accordance with their values, not somebody else's values. So Define Your Vision is now evolving to help the evolution of humanity. It's the macro.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I love the story. And I just written myself a little note here, because one of the things on my dream board that I'm manifesting is my beautiful yacht and my private island. So as and when I need to sail to that yacht, I know who to call on to help me on that voyage.
Beautiful. I think you'd have plenty of people that want to join you on the island at the moment. Get off this one.
Well, that's right. That's the dream, is to build a community island. Build some like you described. That acreage, chopping down the trees, and whilst I love trees, but repurposing to actually build shelter and create that community. Organic Reggie Gardens. I can just see it all. So that'll be beautiful. So that's one thing I'll definitely remember from this call for sure. So I love what you're describing and what's being created now out of your journey around Define Your Vision. So who is Define Your Vision really for? What you're creating? Who is it really aimed at?
Sure. You mentioned earlier, are you ready to define your vision? And I was just this morning, I was pondering, and it comes from my network marketing days. When you become a leader in network marketing, you start to realize that whatever we are doing, you're not out there trying to find, to call everybody in. You're putting out there, like almost using attraction marketing, where you're putting out your vision, you're emulating light, and you're shining, and you're attracting the people who are ready. And that's like, it's usually 3 to 5% of the people that you end up having come into your circles. But to answer your question more specifically, it's visionary leaders and potential leaders, and definitely freedom seekers. So obviously freedom is one of my core values. I've lived my whole life around freedom. And there's a lot of people that either are leaders now that are feeling very overwhelmed, they can't focus, their throat chakras are blocked because they feel like they can't speak. So, they really want to express what they know. That's causing incredible procrastination, and then frustration, anger, sadness, which is negative vibrational frequencies that are going out. And so, there's a lot of leaders and potential leaders, people who feel like they are ready to step up and do something bigger in this world and make a difference in this world, but they just don't quite know where or how to do that. And so Define Your Vision is literally the step-by-step process to take people who feel that way. And then, it's an evolution. Define Your Vision isn't just something that we do and it's a quick process and it's all over. It's a journey of growth that takes you on a journey, then eventually leads you to long-term support, so we can help people build their vision sustainably over time.
Beautiful. I love that, that there's, a few of us in this sort of what I would call a close network, really, that have this vision, and can see a better future and a way to really help others to realize that vision. So I'm totally aligned with, where you're going, your business, what you're sharing. It's wonderful to hear.
I'd just like to point out on that point, Fiona, I loved our conversation the other day and how open you were about us sharing networks. We're moving into that higher level of collective consciousness now, and part of that is an abundance mentality. And back in the 3D world, the world of duality, which is where we've been living under the suppression and the control for so long, we're now evolving into a newer dimension, an awakened world, as you mentioned there before. And I just part of that is abundance. And instead of being in duality and going, oh, these are my group and I want to create this program and make this money here, all of a sudden it's like, how can we share our modalities? And then naturally that when we do that, you know, whatever we give, we will receive. It's just energy.
I totally am 100% behind you on that. I believe there's in abundance for us all. And, you know, even for myself, I don't actively market a lot, you know, for my business. It is, I think it genuinely is the energy you put out. People just migrate, and, you know, some people will like your message, others will like your message. It doesn't matter, as long as everyone gets served with what they need from whom they need, then that's all that matters. So I'm totally open. My dream for all of my groups is to build an international community, you know, that we all support each other. So then when, you know, when the tide rises, all the boats rise together.
That's
you
it.
know, and we reach that sovereignty, that, you know, time, money, freedom, financial freedom, whatever label you have for it, then, you know, that we all can experience that. Because like I say to a lot of my group, these things are not, I believe anyway, my map is that a lot of these things we can't actually teach. We have to have the experience of having time and money freedom. You know, it's not something I can teach you how to do. You know, we need to experience that for ourselves to actually embody it. And that's through, like I said, doing the work. You know, if you sit here and you think it's TV show and you just watch every week and do nothing, and I'm sorry, but let's poke the bear. Shit ain't going to change.
100%. 100%. When we open up our networks, you know, light will always attract light, and like will always attract like. And the natural people who are meant to come to us, and, you know, I really live by the law of the one and the many. When we understand who we are, and at the end of the day, what's happening globally and on a local level is just a reflection of our inner self. You know, planet Earth is polluted at the moment and has been for quite a while. And that pollution is just a direct reflection of how humanity is feeling about itself on the inside. It's an inside job. And when we start to really do the work and cry the tears and find where we need to apologize for people and ask for forgiveness and do the healing ourselves, do the hard yards, throw up in the bucket, literally, get rid of the toxins, get rid of the impurities, the emotional baggage that we're carrying, the toxic foods that we're eating, and, you know, many other things that are being pressed upon us from the outside. I mean, I'm in the Gold Coast now, but I was in the Sunshine Coast last week. The smell of chlorine in the tap water it's insane, Fiona. Like I put some water into a kettle and I usually use you know, some of the highest quality water in the world, but I wasn't going through a filter, and I literally had to put my head back from the jug with the smell of chlorine, you know. And when we really know what's going on, then these are the things that we need to change, and the impurities, and it is changing, and we are changing that. We are part of the change, and you're part of that change, and so are many of your group too. So we're evolving, but it's not easy.
That's right. No, that's right. Yeah, I've just had a filtration system put on the whole of my house. So I know that, you know, everything that comes out of every faucet, be it, you know, for the laundry, for the shower, the drinking, it's all good.
You'd get a lot of calcium up there in Two Rocks, wouldn't you?
We certainly do.
I can imagine.
Absolutely. So I guess you've mentioned briefly, you know, about the creation of, you know, the movement, if you like, but really, how and why was it created? Perhaps we just run through that again.
Well, you know, based on my story, I guess every time I went somewhere, what I realized is that I didn't know it at the time, but I've always lived my life in accordance with my values, my top 3 values, which is freedom, number 1. To empower and educate people is just something that I love to do. It's just innately in me. And authentic communication is really big for me as well. I love open communication, and I love it that you've just come in with 2 gloves swinging. It's like, you know, we're not holding back here, and that's the real stuff. That's the real talk. And we got to start having some real conversations, you know, enough of the bullshit that everyone's talking about. And but to get back to your point, freedom is so high on my values list. And you know, the quality of our life is determined, hang on, let me try and, it's determined by the quality of questions that we ask ourselves, but also, so at the same time, sorry, I've got a point here that I really wanted to make. Our life, the quality of our life is determined by the laws and principles of the universe. And it's our ability to understand and act in accordance with those laws and principles of the universe determines the quality of the life that we live. So I mentioned a law before, the law of the one and the many, when that you know thyself, which is in most biblical teachings, it's the ethos of everything. The many will come because you're shining a light, you're emulating light, you are awareness and consciousness and spirit, and people are attracted to that, just like babies. Everyone's attracted to babies because they haven't been programmed with all the crap that we get programmed through the education system and through the media and whatnot. So, you know, when we live our life, so another basic law is if we're not living our life in accordance with our own values, then we're living our life in accordance with somebody else's values. Yes. So that's either a job, a toxic relationship, it could be your children, it could be your parents, whatever that is. And so I really started to see that, and I innately haven't allowed, although I have many times, but generally I've lived my life in accordance with my values and I drowned out the outside noise.
That's awesome.
But what I started to see was that's not the case for most people. Most people are living their life in accordance with someone else's values, and it creates depression and suppression and sadness and anger and frustration because they're not living their life in accordance with their values. So I saw a real need to put a platform together with my experiences from the past and culminate all of that together to help people work out what are your values, what are your sabotaging patterns, what are your current biggest afflictions at the moment that's holding you back? What do you love to do? Most people that come through the process, believe it or not, they'll tell you all the crap in their life and all the things that are wrong, and that they'll sit there and, you know, have 3 cuppas with you and tell you all about the stuff that's wrong. You start asking people, and we've seen this in the numbers that have come through, you know, what do you love to do? What makes your heart sing? And a lot of people, they come back and they don't even fill out that area. They're like, oh, I don't really know, Lee. And that's just a direct sign of the degree of the programming that we've had to suppress what we love in, you know, a life of debt and work that's been designed to hold us down so we can be controlled.
It is.
So,
it's that treadmill, you know, I call it the, oh my gosh, earn, spend, borrow, treadmill. That's right. Because we're conditioned to earn by society. Then we're conditioned to spend what we earn, you know, through all of the marketing, the subliminary programming that happens. So then we have to borrow because we've spent what we want. We've overspent, you know, because most Australians and Americans spend, was it 106% over the lifetime of what they earn? So they're always in that deficit, you know, so we
100%.
learn to borrow.
By design.
Yeah, and that job, like you say, to me, it's just over broke, you know, so it's really understanding, you know, that transition, if you like, or if you will, between like an employee self, you know, like when you're actually an employee for someone, to like an entrepreneur self, or a, you know, you know, even an enterprise self. You just try and do things differently. Because I believe I did a live on this a few weeks ago, you know, around others' worth and self-worth. You know, because you're right, we are so influenced by you know, people's negativity, or like you were saying, your friends and your family. Lee, what are you doing? You just don't act like this. You don't just, you know, take off and go to the other side of the world and get on a boat and sail off into the sunset. Bye, see you. You know, it's not what society expects, right? You know, we expected to conform and to, you know, to stay down our channel and not move, and, you know, don't be the tall poppy, all those sorts of things, right? So it's really refreshing, you know, when I cross paths with other people that are just not afraid to push the boundaries and to, you know, live outside the box. That's wonderful.
100%. I don't think people are going to have a choice soon enough. Certainly in this country, but it's global. And this is, you know, this is where we're heading now, where we're going to have a lot more of these conversations. And I believe people will start stepping into their higher power and increasing their self-worth as the old system is dissolving, that old system, that 3D system is dissolving. And, you know, just to answer your question a little bit more, how and why was it created? Define Your Vision is everything that I just explained, but now I had an incredible gentleman that came through one of our challenges about 6 months ago, Mr. Terry Stokes, and he's now become one of my mentors. And so we've realized that he's been teaching for 35 years about mind mastery and the importance of quietening the mind, opening the heart, so then you can see divine guidance as it comes in front of you. And so we've now, Define Your Vision is now combining the two modalities, because what we realized was you can have Define Your Vision all day long. And the systems and the, you know, the models, and we can help people to do that. But if you don't quieten your mind and increase your self-worth and realize who you are, once again, know thyself, then forget about it. It doesn't matter what system you got, what platform you got, what team you got around you, you will not experience abundance. You can't.
Well, yeah, and that's, I agree, because I think we can only ever evolve to the level of which we've evolved ourselves. You know what I mean? So to me, that's why it's a continual journey. I will always be evolving and learning and growing. And, you know, and I say we have mentors for a season, you know, or a reason. You know, they're not necessarily permanent mentors. Mentors come and go in my life at different styles. And sometimes it's the same mentor comes back, but I have to go away and do something else first, you know. So it's amazing how this, the cycles work, really, you know, and we sort of, you know.
And we go through, oh, sorry, Fiona.
That's okay, all good.
Yeah, just in terms of that, you know, with mentors, what I've experienced too. So one of my first mentors was deep into, you know, Newtonian physics, quantum physics, psychology, biology. I can talk that stuff all day long about, you know, cause and effect and cause and the effect and all these different laws and all the rest of it, which was a great foundation. But then, you know, I guess a note to, if, you know, for anybody that's watching this, is sometimes we have to ask ourselves the question, well, what type of mentor do I feel I want now? So, you know, we've got the mental and emotional, the spiritual and the physical, and we can go mentally and emotionally on all day long on this one, but if we're not looking after our spiritual and our physical bodies, and we can only go so far here, and likewise we can go as spiritual as anything, but if we're not keeping up here, then then we need to keep that balance. So I'm always asking myself, I'll have a good run with a mentor for a while, and then I'll go, okay, that's cool, but what type of mentor do I want to go with now? And I'm currently in the spiritual realm of, you know, not too woo-woo, although current guides are showing me now that there's a lot that we don't know as human beings, and there's a lot of beauty. There is so much beauty and so much more than what we think we know, and I'm starting to be revealed to that now, and it makes my heart light up, Fiona.
That's beautiful. I'm behind you on that journey, but you know, that's the path that I want to tread as well, to do those sorts of things, because I think I'm ready for it. You know, I've done a lot of, like you say, this, you know, a lot of the work. I guess more where I am in openness is probably the physical at the moment. Is working on, you know, my own health and well-being, things like that as well. Beautiful. So I don't end up having all this beautiful stuff to give, and then I'm not looking after me. You know, so I think we have to have this balance. Yes, I totally agree with you on that. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yay.
So how does Define Yourself, the movement that you're creating, empower leaders then? How does it work?
Well, now that we're working with Terry, and Terry and I are working together, and so essentially we've set up a challenge model. We've got a challenge that's coming up on December 11th, and it's called Take Back Your Power Challenge, 5-day challenge. So Terry and I are coming together, and it's very, very intentional. So I've been building networks for about 7 years. I'm in touch with a lot of leaders around the world, predominantly in Australia, the States and Canada. So what I've been doing is really connecting with those leaders, very intentional like yourself, and asking them, what are they seeing on the ground in their networks? So we're getting some very real feedback. And, you know, overwhelm and lack of focus and block chakra and all that stuff. This is the stuff that we're getting the feedback on. So, you know, a great way to find fulfillment in life for many of us, Fiona, is to serve others and to solve problems. So that means solving problems for others. But with them, you know, I reverse engineer everything, working on boats and stuff. So when we find out intentionally, living intentionally, find out what the problems are, and then we create a solution, then we just need to put that out there and the right people will come. So the challenge model, I got introduced and have invested heavily, probably close to almost $30,000 in the last couple of years, just to learn how to run challenges and one of my mentors is the world's leading challenge guy, because I've done the network marketing, I've done attraction marketing and a lot of that kind of stuff and coaching, one-on-one coaching and all that, but I couldn't scale it. And the challenge model is just so powerful, Fiona, because you can have specific specific problems that you want to find solutions to. You can call the people in at scale. You know, I've been on challenges with 14,000. Actually, I've been on challenges bigger. Tony Robbins and that did one with 996,000 people, right? So you can scale in at any size that you want, but why challenges are so powerful is because they're very strategic. Number one, because you know what the problems are for the people, you can create the solutions. And I was discussing this with you, I think, the other day about the hardest thing for entrepreneurs and people who want to get started is the building momentum. And it's like, you know, I use the analogy of a car on flat land. And if you want to start pushing that car to get it going in neutral, it takes a lot of energy with two hands and you've got to push. But then eventually you can get some speed up. And then once it's going, you can just keep pushing it at the same speed with one finger. But it takes a lot. You've got to get over that inertia. So challenges are designed in a way to give the people micro wins towards the solutions that they're looking for. It builds incredible community and support and family. And we do that very intentionally with certain ways that we create the challenge to instigate the connection, if you like. So then all of a sudden you get in this challenge and all these people are just totally having wins. They're all having micro wins. They're all building momentum and they're all connecting with each other, which is what most people are looking for today. And so then we're really seeing change in people's lives at scale. So we're and
I think it's wonderful that they also get the evidence that they can achieve that change on that one specific, you know, narrowed in issue that they're working on in that 5-day window.
100%. And they get to support each other and other people see them. This is another big thing that I want to bring to the table is a lot of people want to be seen. They're not feeling seen and heard. So if you can bring people in and help them to have micro wins by using their talents and their skills, once again, which is very strategically what we, you know, they're required to do to be in the challenge. And then all of a sudden you get all these other people recognizing and seeing these people create micro wins and they're getting encouraged and now they're being seen. And that boost is just huge for people that feel like they're not seen and they're kind of borrowing other people's belief in them until they get enough of their own to then go and build their own vision.
That's awesome. So much gold in these, I don't know, half an hour or whatever we've shared so far already. So for anyone that's listening, if they want to sort of, you know, join, I guess you have this challenge coming up as well. What's the best way to become part perhaps of this movement, you know, that you're creating?
Sure. At the moment, we've got Define Your Vision, which is a Facebook group that we've got. And that's just a family that I've been building for the last couple of years. And it's a beautiful family. And I'm just now building the funnel for the Take Back Your Power challenge. So I would love, and I wish I would give you the link now, Fiona, but I've bought the domain, but I haven't brought it back, and I won't give it to you now because
okay.
actually, well, I will give it to you now, but it's not going to go anywhere anyway. But it's www.takebackyourpower.com.au for anyone that is watching this in a couple of days from now. That'll be live in a couple of days, so people can come on through. And, you know, we have a very valuable free gift that we want to give to your people. And we're not giving this to anyone else. This is absolutely the first time that we're giving this to people, is free access to VIP. And, you know, our challenges, I'll say with my hand on my heart, changes lives, but the VIP is just, that's where we see people, that's where we hear people, that's where the real transformation happens on our challenges. And we've got a lot to offer in VIP. There's a lot of dynamics happening in the world right now. And that's where we offer the tools and the solutions in VIP to the problems that we know most people are experiencing. So we'd love to offer that for free. You're going to be the first one. You asked to get put on the list today, Fiona. You are literally the first person on the list.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for that. That's such a valuable gift. I know it's, you know, worth a couple of $1,000s, and I really appreciate and I'm so grateful for you extending that opportunity to our InnerStrength community. So the team will put the link for that into the comments underneath this live. So if you're watching the live or you're watching the replay, I strongly encourage you to click on the link. It will take you to connect to Lee, and you can send a message saying that you've watched the InnerStrength live show that we've had, this episode 3, and asked to be put on the VIP list and join me on that 5-day journey. So I'll look forward to, you know, sharing that time with all of you on that journey as well. Yeah. Just
to be clear on that, Fiona, obviously because I haven't got that link up, the link that your team is going to put there, that's going to take people directly to my Facebook, my personal Facebook page. So like Fiona said, if you see that pop up, just send me a message. Make sure you mention that you're from Fiona's incredible network, and we will give you a free VIP ticket for the challenge.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Lee. I really appreciate you spending the time with us today. Is there anything else that you'd like to leave us with, some parting words of wisdom, or are we
always. I'll never say no to that. I think that there's, you know, the premise of our challenge in the beginning is to help people understand. There are so many people that don't understand why they're so confused, why they're so overwhelmed. There's a lot of pressure going on in the world at the moment from external forces. And what we really like, the first part of what I would like to bring to people's attention, if they're not aware already, many are, is, you know, the awareness that we have this voice in our head that is driving our life for most people, and they don't even know it. So that voice, what does it look like? It looks like stress, worry, or anxiety about something that's in the future, or it's sadness, depression, or resentment about someone that's happened in the past. And so once we help people to become aware that this voice is running the show, and that we don't have to believe all of our thoughts, and that we can simply observe these crazy thoughts. If you were to put a little man that said all the voices that came in your head, you would literally think this little person is insane. So when we learn to just observe those, we can dissipate those. When we do that, we open up our hearts. And then when we can open up our hearts, we can follow divine guidance. So, you know, if anyone isn't aware of what I'm talking about here, just when you're in the shower, just observe your thoughts and listen to those voices, and realize that that is part of the programming that's running the show. And that's one of the first things in the challenges that we want to help people, a solution. We want to find, we have solutions to help people overcome that, which is in the VIP, which is exactly what we'd be doing in the VIP. So yeah, just, it's all about awareness, which is levels of consciousness. And this is where we're moving with humanity. It's an exciting time. Many people don't realize that you know, we're in a spiritual war right now, and it's a silent war. Most people don't even know that they're in a war right now. And not only do they not know that they're in it, they're actually fighting for the very people that are oppressing them.
Yeah, I know.
Terry and I like to say...
That exactly is a brain burst moment.
Terry and I like to say that it's an excellent execution of a rotten plan. They are very, very smart people that have put all this together. However, that energy, and I want to end on a bit of hope, actually, is what I'd like to end with, Fiona, is that we're coming into, like you said, we're coming into the age of Aquarius now. So we're coming into the age of information. So for the last 20, 30 years, we've been able to be controlled. Society's been able to be controlled for hundreds and thousands of years by these higher entities. However, now that astrologically, where, you know, everything's in cycles right the way through the universe, from the micro to the macro, and we're moving into the age of Aquarius. And so just to shed some light on this for people, this means since we've had the internet, all of a sudden I can talk to someone in Canada and share a video like that can expose something. And now these entities are being exposed. And the biggest thing that they are afraid of is information, because now we're sharing information and the truth is coming to the top. So with that, it comes energy too. So so this dark energy that's been around for so long is not sustainable, because light will always dissolve darkness, and light is coming to the table now, and we are the light. Fiona, you are the light. Just doing what you're doing is part of that collective consciousness. And I just really want to encourage people to hold your ground. Speak the truth. Now is the time to speak up. There is no more time to be silent. Yeah. Just know in your heart that light will always dissipate that energy, and it comes down to trusting that. And I really encourage people to stand in your sovereignty, to speak the truth. And it's going to hurt. Trust me, it hurts. I've lost certain relationships, but they're relationships that were, you know, I've evolved. And as you do that, just know that wherever you lose relationships, it will always be replaced with another relationship that's on your frequency. Yeah. So I just really encourage people.
Up. Yeah. And I understand that. I'm the same. I find myself about 3 years ago, after I started, you know, really digging in more to, you know, the work. I had lots of, you know, what I thought were friends, you know, and things, and realized they're more acquaintances, you know, because it's friendship, and true friendship is a two-way street. Yeah. And it's, you know, it's meant to be walked together, where you hold space for each other through vulnerability, all those sorts of things. And and I went, and now I have a close circle of friends of perhaps 2 or 3, to be honestly, you know, and that's okay. I find more people come along. I know, that's right. I have another one, but you know, it's you find that, and the more you grow, you do attract other people who are on the same, you know, wavelength, and that's, we all grow.
Fiona, if I may, just, I know I might be going on a little bit here, but I really feel called to do this, and I've been having conversations with you. You know, I've been going on a deep spiritual journey with some plant medicine, and some things have come for me. And so that 2 messages that I'd like to share, and one of them was, now is the time. Now is the time for leaders and light workers and people to step up and speak. And the second message that I've got very, very clearly is, as the veils of truth are unfolded, as the truth starts to come out, and it's coming very, very quickly, there's going to be a lot. When I say a lot, I mean a lot of people who are going to have psychological fallout, because they have been programmed generationally and their whole lives to believe the governments, believe the media, believe the pharmaceutical companies, believe the education system and the politicians. And all of a sudden, as these truths are unfolded, their belief systems are going to collapse. Now, there's already a lot of people that are right on the verge of suicide right now. That suicide rates through the roof. So my message to leaders and potential leaders are that when shit starts to go down, when the truth starts to unfold and chaos is reigning around you, that we as leaders need to remain calm. We are the calm in the middle of the storm, and we are simply helping, support, and love other people. Let them purge. People are going to purge. People are going to fall out, and it's our not our responsibility. For some it is. I see it as a responsibility. Those people who know to stand strong in their sovereignty, remain calm, and just this time shall pass, and then that's when we move into the new era. So that's my big message. I know that was about a 20-minute wrap up when you asked me one question.
That's okay, because it's so strange that, well, it's not strange, everything's meant to happen the way it's meant to happen, that you talk about that, because I'm busy planning a challenge of my own, which is, you know, moving or staying calm amongst the chaos.
Perfect.
And I thought, wow, it's just the words.
Good timing.
You know, so that's right. So it's really, you know, there's nothing, you know, set up, or it's just everything is meant to be. And that's why I said, let's have this conscious conversation, conscious cuppa, and the right words will find us, you know. And I truly believe that with every conversation that I have.
I'd love to support you on that challenge and that in any way that we can, and share.
I think so. Let's perhaps we'll work on that together. I think it would be very beneficial, actually. Yeah.
Fantastic.
So thank you so much for joining me. I've had a really, you know, fantastic time. I always learn, you know, from everyone. My intention before these chats is to leave my shit and my learning at the door and be open to, you know, what the speakers share as well. And then I think it just helps me ingrain things, you know, at a deeper level. So I'm true gratitude for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm also excited. So obviously next week is episode 4. And we've got a topic, hold it right there, with the no-nonsense mentor herself, Pat Honiotis. Now, she is my first international guest on this show, so I'm really happy to be bringing her. She's a powerhouse, and it's going to be talking about all things boundaries, which I think is a very conscious conversation to be having as well, moving, like Lee was saying, into the area that we're going, you know, where, you know, people tend to trample on all, you know, you, or dissuade you from things, or we tend to, you know, let their words and actions filter in, and we don't do what we truly want to do. So it's learning about having, you know, beautiful boundaries in place so you can protect and you can follow your dreams and live your value. So next week it'll be a little bit early. It'll be 12 o'clock noon here in Perth, which of course is 8 p.m. the night before in Los Angeles. So her tribe will be watching as well. So I'm looking forward to that. But meanwhile, Lee, thank you so much for joining us. I'm truly grateful for having you here. And we'll put the link in for people to contact you to book in for the VIP. And I look forward to joining them on that journey.
Thank you so much.
And likewise, when the link for the actual challenge is live, please feel free, post it into the group as well. We'll be more than happy, you know, on different days, to put those in there and reach more people.
Thank you so much for not only from us, but for your contribution to the collective consciousness, Fiona. Thank you for stepping up and showing up and inspiring others, and you're inspiring me. So thank you.
Thank you, Lee. I really appreciate that. So until next time, remember, do what it takes to be your own best friend. It's all in your hands. Take the action, do the steps, do the work. Till next week, we'll see you then. Bye for now.